Good morning once again. Children's Church, you guys can be dismissed to your classes. So bags, they come in all different shapes and sizes. When the praise team came in on Thursday and they saw my baggage here, they here's my light on. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Hello. I've got a green light. You guys here?
Nope.
Check. Hello, everybody.
That's the pulpit. You gotta stand still.
Check. Oh, I guess I will. All right. Well, anyway, where was I? Bags, all different shapes and sizes. The praise team came in and saw. They thought I got kicked out of the house. So speaking of our praise team, we're blessed by our praise team. Thank you guys so much for giving your time. I mean, not only they give up their time on Sunday morning, but while they sort of have to work while we get to worship, but they also Thursday nights come and commit that time also to practice and be ready. So I appreciate that. All right. So bags, and thank you for bringing in. Some of you guys helped me out. You got my message, brought in some bags and stuff to help me illustrate this idea. You know, bags come in different shapes. They come in different sizes and colors and purposes. Backpacks and shoulder packs and shopping bags and purses and duffel bags and travel bags and suitcases. And I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that fanny packs are coming back. So anybody brave enough to admit that they support the fanny pack comeback? Anybody? No? All right. I don't know if it's true or not, but I have to admit I kind of have a thing for bags. I feel like I always want to be bringing something with me. And, you know, I know Cindy can attest to that. Sometimes she's here cleaning while I'm leaving. I've always got my bag, you know, on the way out the door. My family can attest that I've always, you know, bring it home and then bring it the next day. And it's not, don't get the wrong idea. It's not that I'm a workaholic. It's not that I go home and, you know, and I work. I take my work home with me. More often than not, I don't know whether I should admit this or not, that bag pretty much stays untouched at home. So I set it down, and in the morning when I get ready to leave, I pick it back up right where I left it and bring it back to the office the next day. But I just can't, I just can't help it. I just feel like I need to bring that with me. It's not that I'm a workaholic, it's that I feel like there's a chance that I might need something. There's that book that if I get a chance, I'm going to read some more of that book. If I get a chance, I'm going to look up, I'm going to look at those notes. If I get a chance, I'm going to work on that project. It's like, I know if I don't have it, I'm going to need it. And so I bring the bag back and forth and back and forth. There's nothing wrong with that. Our bags are a necessary part of our life. They serve a useful purpose. There's nothing wrong with bags. But excess baggage, that's stuff that just gets in our way. You know, it's having too much. And usually there's two times in life that we really start thinking about excess baggage and if we really need what we think we need. And those two times are when you're moving. I can attest to that. When we moved from a house in Georgia, we've been at 12 years. So a family of 6 in 12 years' time can get a lot of stuff. And so then you really start thinking about how much stuff do you really need to bring with you. And the other time you really think about that is when you're traveling. You know, traveling, do you really need, how many pairs of clothes do you need? How many pairs of shoes do you need? And you start thinking about it because extra baggage, it kind of just gets in your way and you got to lug it around. Especially when you're flying, and we don't fly very often. It's kind of expensive for a family of 6 to fly anywhere, but when you do, you got to take into account, you know, are you just going to bring your carry-on so you don't have to mess with the extra effort of lugging your luggage and the extra expense sometimes of paying extra to have your bags checked and the time to check them in and then go claim them. And so you got to decide, is it really worth it when you're traveling to bring the extra bags? So you put some thought into how much stuff you really want to lug around because it can slow you down. It can get in the way. And it can cause, excess weight can cause physical damage. There was a study, Dr. Ken Hansraj, we'll say, co-authored a study about kids wearing backpacks. I don't know if you've have a kid or you've seen them, and sometimes these poor kids, the backpacks are as big as the kid is, and you just worry about them. Well, there's a study, and they said if you carry, for example, 10 pounds in your backpack, the force on your spine is 70 pounds of force. So it's not even a pound for pound comparison, just because of how it sits and how you're trying to walk. A 10-pound bag has 70 pounds of force to your spine. That's seven times the weight. So whatever the backpack, 7 times that is the weight on your spine. Then if you walk uphill, it even adds more to that. So that 10-pound backpack walking uphill 20 degrees becomes 120 pounds of force on your spine. This study says that carrying too heavy of a load puts children and teens at risk for long-term health problems because they're stressing areas of their spine and their core that are still growing. So he recommends that young kids carry no more than the equivalent of 10% of their body weight. He also did additional research on how much texting can cause neck pain. And in a 2014 study, he found that bending your head at a 60-degree angle to get a better look at your phone puts 60 pounds worth of pressure on your cervical spine, the portion of your spine above your shoulders. So we've got our big backpacks on, and then we added the fact that we're looking down at our phones. You can see it's a problem. So when it comes to lugging a backpack, doctors say you should listen to your body, and if you start to ache, you're probably carrying too heavy of a load. So excess baggage can take its toll on us. But excess baggage isn't only physical. As we travel through life, we collect emotional baggage as well. And some of it is inevitable. It just happens, and some of it we bring on ourselves. We bring on ourselves. But too much emotional baggage also will get in the way. It will drag us down. Everyone has baggage. Today, everybody has physical baggage, and everybody has emotional baggage. We have stuff that we carry with us. Either way, we all have a baggage journey. We all have this journey through life, and along the way, we've collected and we've gathered stuff that weighs us down. This baggage journey starts early in life. It may be something, a small negative comment that a parent or someone says to us that makes us just feel like we're not good enough, or that we don't measure up. It seems so small enough, it seems simple enough, it doesn't seem very burdensome. It's just a comment, something somebody said to us, but we just carry it along with us, and we think about it, and it's just this ugly thoughts in our head of, it just plays back, and it could be something said to us on the playground by a classmate or something that may seem small, but it cuts deep, and we carry it. We carry it with us. Maybe some of you come from split homes, and you remember your parents arguing constantly until one day they finally gave up. And you wish that they could stay together. You wish things could be different, but it never happened. And you finally came to the realization that your family is broken. Carry that with you. Maybe even blame yourself. What could I have done different? Could I have been a different child? Could I have done something differently? And you carry that with you. When we live in such a fallen world, I know some people here, maybe you faced abuse of some kind as a child. It's a sad fact that many children face abuse from those people that should protect them, those people that should care for them, can cause harm. Whether it's verbal or emotional abuse, physical or sexual abuse. Maybe you longed for the day that you were old enough to fight back or old enough to leave, to get away. But even if the abuse stopped, even if you finally got away, carry it with you. Our teenage years are full of opportunities to pick up some baggage. The baggage of body image. We have these standards of what we're supposed to look like and what we're supposed to dress like. And we pick up this baggage of, am I skinny enough? Or am I pretty enough? Am I tall enough? Am I athletic enough? Am I smart enough? How do I measure up? And we take on this baggage of trying to compare ourselves to the world and trying to fit in, trying to be enough. And we carry it with us. Maybe that pressure to fit in, that pressure to belong, that desire to fit in, sometimes it can cause us to pick up some extra baggage, some things we do, maybe we did as teenagers to try to either cope with those feelings or to try to fit in. Maybe we tried smoking or tried alcohol or drugs to try to fit in, and we took up that baggage with us. Maybe we turn to sex to feel loved or to feel cherished, to desire to think, if somebody loves me, if somebody wants me, then that's where my worth is at. And so we pick up more baggage. When we turn to pornography, it's such a growing problem, and it's a sermon for another day, but the average age of somebody is exposed now because of our screens in our life. You don't have to track down that magazine anymore. You don't have to figure out how to get access to it. With a couple clicks, it's there. And it's baggage. And even sometimes when we had the stuff, we picked up that baggage, and even if we are able to walk away from those behaviors, even if we're able to get past those behaviors, we still carry the guilt, the shame that's associated with some of them. And sometimes the behaviors themselves become like a literal weight around our necks, a weight on our back. And we grow and we walk through life. And if we're not careful, we don't really pay much attention, we got all this extra weight. And as we get older, go through college, go through life, maybe a baggage of a bad relationship or a bad marriage. Or maybe you were wrongfully accused of something and it wasn't you, and you were wrongly accused, or you were stabbed in the back, betrayed by a friend, or fired from a job. And it adds baggage. Before we know it, we're completely overloaded with baggage. It's easy to be overloaded with baggage. It seems to come from everywhere. Different places. Baggage can make us feel unworthy. It can make us feel like we have to act a certain way to disguise the baggage. And so we go through life putting up this picture of ourselves that isn't real, so people don't realize how loaded down we are. We act like everybody's fine. When somebody asks, "How are you doing?" Say, "I'm fine. Really, I'm fine. No problems here." So we head to Instagram or Facebook and post how great our life is, and then we look at other people posting how great their life is. And what's funny is we know we're lying, but we think they're telling the truth. So that makes us feel even worse about ourselves, because look how good their life is. We get to see their vacation without the credit card bills that came with the vacation. We get to see their family pictures without the yelling and the screaming and the fighting to get the family pictures taken. And we compare our worst day to somebody else's best day, and we left not only feeling burdened, but feeling alone. So those are just some of the places we pick up baggage along the way, and the emotional baggage that comes with it: guilt, regret, shame, anger, resentment, worry, anxiety, fear. That calls us down, and you may wonder why. Why is this such a big deal? Maybe you're trying to get rid of your baggage, but it seems like it keeps following you around. You try to forget that thing you did, but it keeps coming back up. You try to feel better about yourself, but you keep getting knocked back down. And the reason why it's so hard is because baggage comes from the enemy. You know, I mentioned it before. I'll mention it today. I'll mention it in the future. We have an enemy. 1 Peter 5 says he walks around like a hungry lion looking for someone to devour. So he's looking at your life. And sometimes the baggage we carry around, it doesn't come from the enemy. He just takes advantage of it. Okay? He looks at our life and he sees something in our life and it just makes him drool. He just can't wait to use it against us, to devour us, to drag us down. Things like guilt. You know, everyone experiences guilt. It's we all make mistakes, but none of us are perfect, and we know that. And feeling guilty is actually essential. We wouldn't have came to Christ without a feeling of guilt, of conviction for our sins. We've done wrong against God, and we need to come clean. We repent. So without guilt, none of that would be possible. But guilt becomes baggage when we hold on to it for weeks and months and years, and we just hang on to it, thinking that perhaps maybe we deserve this punishment. We're not worth forgiving. What we've done is unforgivable. And we just burden ourselves with that guilt. Or regret's like a sibling to guilt. They're very similar. We make choices, some good and some bad, but we tend to dwell on the bad choices we made. We never pat ourselves on the back very often about the good things we've done, but when we do things bad, we just beat ourselves up. And when we consume our thoughts with what we should have done in the past, we miss out on what we should be doing in the present. And shame's like a distant cousin to guilt and regret, because shame can be the shame we can be lugging around. Sometimes it's not even for something that wasn't even our fault. We can carry shame for something that was done to us. If you've ever been taken advantage of, or forced to do something that you didn't want to do, or went along with something and didn't speak up against something. So you were the victim, but you still carry that shame. If there was something you could have done differently, and you put that on yourself. Anger. A natural response, a natural emotion. When somebody does something wrong to us, or we see an injustice, anger is a natural response. And by itself it's okay, but hanging on to anger becomes baggage. And over time it can cause all kinds of physical and emotional and spiritual problems by holding on to our anger and letting it turn into bitterness, letting it turn into resentment, letting it turn into all kinds of health problems because you just keep everything angry. I don't need to talk about stress and worry. You're familiar with that baggage. Most of us carry something we worry about, something we stress about. Fear about the future, fear about where the money's going to come in, fear about families who are maybe lost. All kinds of things to get stressed about, to worry about, to lug around. A lot of baggage. I got a lot of baggage. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a place to go to check our bags? To not have to carry them with us anymore. Wouldn't it be nice to finally lay down that pride, so you can stop wearing yourself out trying to be the best, trying to measure up? You can just lay that down. Wouldn't it be a weight lifted off your shoulders if you could just lay down that worry that you carry with you everywhere? Or that guilt that you've been carrying around for the things in your past? Well, I have good news. I know where we can go to check our baggage. We're looking at Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 to 30. He says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." Come to me. We need to come to Jesus. If you want relief from the burdens you carry, if you want to find peace and rest, come to Jesus. Jesus is the key to getting rid of our burdens. Page 6, sorry. Jesus is the key to losing our baggage. Allow me to move here. So Jesus is the key, and maybe you've never come to Jesus. Maybe you are. Maybe you've been carrying around that guilt. Maybe you've been carrying around that shame, that worry, that burden. You've never given your life to Jesus. You've never given that up to Him. Today is the day to do that. He is the key to losing your baggage. All the stuff you've been dragging around for so long, weighted down. He comes to give you joy, to give you peace, to give you relief and freedom from your baggage. Today is the day to do that. If you've never come to Jesus, today is the day. Get rid of that you've been carrying around. But maybe you've been a Christian, you've experienced that, but you still found yourself along the way picking up this baggage, carrying it around with you. I mean, there was a day you came to Jesus and gave it all and surrendered your life to Him, but you look around and you realize you've still got some weight on your back. There's some stuff you've picked up you haven't gotten rid of yet. Well, today is you check those bags, give them to Jesus. He is the key to getting rid of our baggage. There's some things in this passage in Matthew. You know, a sermon sometimes it's going to be a living, it's kind of a living, breathing thing. Sometimes it kind of grows on your own. Even from the point of turning in the outline for the bulletin and preaching on Sunday morning, sometimes it kind of changes and evolves. And so I just want to let you know that there's some good stuff in here that really should have been on your outline, but it's not. So if you're the kind of person that thinks you fill in your blanks and your job is done, I don't want you to miss what's coming. There's probably some extra stuff worth filling in that's not a blank on your outline. All right? Because I learned some stuff from this verse that really caught my attention this time around. So now, going back to Matthew 11. In 28, he says, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." So that's a good verse. That's pretty understandable. Come to me. I'm going to relieve you of your burdens. I'm going to give you rest. Then the next verse, he says, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart." I want to take that "learn from me." That's the first part I want to talk about. Learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart. So it's like, okay, so come to me, burden, rest, and then he says it seems like it comes kind of random. It's like, okay, I like the rest part, I like coming to you part, but then he's saying, learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart. I'm thinking in this line, in this phrase, what he's doing is he's saying to learn from him. This is Jesus talking, Jesus' words. And then he is giving us one of the things we're supposed to learn from him. I was going to pick on Gene, but he's not here. I was going to say, it would be like if I wanted to learn how to fish, and Gene said, "Learn from me, because I am the best fisherman in Scott County." He didn't actually say that, so don't give him a hard time. But it's like, learn from me, and here's why. Here's what you can learn. Here's the skills you can learn. I think that's what Jesus is saying here, is learn from me. And why I bring this up right now in this phrase, in this sentence, is because here's what I want you to learn from me, that I am gentle and humble in heart. And you need to follow that example. So what does being humble have to do with getting rid of our baggage? At first it seems totally random, but it's actually essential. Humility is a key component to checking our bags. So what is humility? A lot of people think of it in negative terms, but if you're a Christ follower, we need to see humility differently. Because Jesus gave us this example of humility that we're called to follow, his example. The dictionary defines humility as a modest view of one's importance. So it's how we view ourselves, putting ourselves in perspective. We are humble when we realize that we are not the most important thing in the universe. So the freedom that comes from this is that we don't have to try to get rid of our baggage all by ourselves. That's what we do. We lug it around by ourselves, and even when we try to get rid of it, we try to do that by ourselves. We check out the self-help books, or we watch the TED Talks, or we do whatever it takes, but we gotta try to do it in our own power. We don't try to get anybody's help. And we need help. We need divine help. We need help from God. Can't do it on our own. Psalm 55:22 says, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken." Cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you. 1 Peter 5:7 says, "Cast all your anxiety on Him, because He cares for you." He cares for you. Cast all your anxiety. Cast all your cares. See the theme? It's not just place them down. It's not politely lay them to the side. It's cast them. Cast is a violent word. It's a forceful word. You cast something away from you. Your goal is to get it as far away from you as possible. Stop trying to carry them all by yourself. Stop trying to get rid of them all by yourself. Realize that you are not your own Savior. See, when we get out of the way, then Jesus can get in the way of the enemy. The enemy that's out to attack us, and he's out to destroy us and devour us, and using our baggage and stuff to guilt us and to shame us and to drag us down. When we get out of the way, Jesus can get into the way and block those attacks. Going back to Matthew chapter 11. It's another thing that seems ironic, it seems contradictory. He says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened. So you're weary, you're burdened, you poor things, come to me, and I will give you rest. Then he says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. We talked about the learn from me part. Take my yoke upon you. So if you're familiar with what a yoke is, it's I think I got a picture in my slideshow, but it's a device that you would put your ox or whatever your animals were, that they were going to pull a load, pull a plow, pull a wagon, pull some kind of cargo, and so it's their burden. It was tied to their whatever it was they were trying to move forward, and so it's a yoke. It's a burden, and it's ironic. It's actually so ironic that when I was typing this verse in. Just subconsciously or whatever. I actually got it backwards. And at first when I was typing it, I said, so it says, this is Jesus talking, and it said, take your yoke upon me, like my yoke, and give it to Jesus. But that's not what it says. It says, take Jesus' yoke and put it upon us. So we have this weird two sentences together that talks about being unburdened and I'm going to give you rest and put you to work in the very next sentence. He's like, I'll put on my yoke. So the idea is that Jesus is going to give us rest, but it's not about being yoke free. It's not a promise to be burdenless. It's a yoke replacement. It's a burden exchange. We get rid of our yoke that is heavy and dragging us down and ruining us. We get rid of our baggage and we take up Christ's. But that's okay because he says his yoke is what, church? What does it say? His yoke is? What is it? It's easy. His yoke is easy and his burden is what? I like the cheat sheet up there now. Now you can do it. So let's do it again. His yoke is what? And his burden is? Light. So you see, the reason why our baggage keeps coming back to haunt us, there's two reasons. First of all, we try to get rid of it by ourselves, without giving it to Jesus, in our own effort, our own energy, our own strength. But the other reason it doesn't stay gone is that we're not replacing it with Jesus' yoke. And so where there was once baggage, there's now a vacuum. And so if you understand science or physics or whatever, a vacuum longs to be filled. It wants to suck everything into it. It doesn't want to be a vacuum. It wants filled. So when we get rid of our baggage and we leave it empty, before long that old baggage finds its way of rolling back in to consume our thoughts, to consume our life, or we replace it with new baggage to fill that space. So we need to cast off our worldly baggage and replace it with Jesus' luggage. Jesus' luggage, it's light, it's easy, it has those easy glide wheels that you just swirl around. He says, my yoke is easy, my burden is light. So what does this yoke look like? Because this really helps us to get rid of our baggage. I think that's where we mess up and where we're more burdened than we need to be, is because we try to get rid of it without replacing it. What does he want us burdened with? Here's what I think it is. In simple terms, I think it is love. When Jesus was asked what the greatest commandment is, being Jesus and how generous he is, he gave us two, right? He said, what's the greatest commandment? I'll give you the greatest and the second greatest both. So I'll give you an extra bonus. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love God, love others. Greatest commandment, greatest mission. That's what we're supposed to burden ourselves with, is love. I believe that is the yoke that's supposed to be easy. I believe that is the burden that's supposed to be light. Because when you do it right, it's fun to love somebody. Now sometimes love is work. It's sacrifice. Sometimes there's tough love. Sometimes it requires patience. Sometimes love hurts. But because it's love, it's always worth it. When you really love somebody, it's worth it. Even the ups and downs, the emotional roller coaster our relationships put us in, at the end of the day, it's worth it because we love them. And that's what God calls us to do. True love places our focus outside of ourselves and on the object of our love, whether it's God or whether it's those around us, it puts our focus on them. And the side effect of that is our own problems, our own issues shrink. Our perspective changes. It's hard to be selfish when you're serving someone in need. When you're taking care of the needs of somebody, it's hard to get consumed with your own needs. It puts things in perspective. So God says love others, and when we love God and love others, our own baggage seems to kind of shrink. Because the beauty of the family of God, the beauty of the church, is that we are to take on each other's burdens. So no one is supposed to be left with their own burdens. We carry each other's burdens. Because we help each other out. This big army bag was my dad's. We need to get a chat in here. He'd probably have no problem with this thing, if we had Grayson Bruner in here with this, I think we could fit him inside of it, probably. It's all in our perspective. So when we come together, we bear one another's burdens. Galatians 6:2 says, bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. So we're to bear each other's burdens and don't be burdened of our own. It's I love you, and you love me. And that sounded way more like Barney than I intended to. We're a happy family. You love others, they love you. And we take on each other's burdens. Just a quick side note. I love technology. I love my phone. But to take on one another's burdens, we've got to get our noses out of here and be looking around once in a while. So it's easy for these things to make us so self-focused, so unpresent to what's going on around here, that we can miss the needs of those around us. So to really follow Galatians and say, bear one another's burdens to fulfill the law of Christ, we need to be up and aware and looking around those around us so we can love them, so we can carry their burdens for us. Okay, that's the end of that. I'm so lost. So, I love my phone. I have it with me, but sometimes we've got to get our heads out of it, or we're going to miss the chance to do what God wants us to do. So baggage, the enemy uses it, but Jesus says, hey, give it to me. Give it to me. You can't handle it on your own. You're not supposed to. Give it to me and take on my burden instead, because it's light and it's fun and it's rewarding. So that broken relationship that hurts you, and he can help you find peace. That deep wound from your absent father, he can turn that into something that you can use to help someone else who's struggling with the same thing. Jesus conquers everything the enemy throws at you. When we get out of the way, Jesus can get in the way of the enemy. So God wants to take your baggage and He wants to free you to bless others. He wants to take your baggage and He wants to turn it into a blessing. So today, this morning, identify your baggage, the baggage in your life. What are you dragging with you? Realize where it came from and that the enemy is the reason it has power over you. And that enemy can be defeated, was defeated at the cross, so we can stop dealing with the baggage on our own, in our own power, and recognize our need for Jesus to take control. We often try to carry our own burdens instead of throwing them at the foot of the cross. Jesus got in the way so that you could be freed from your baggage. So yeah, a video I want to share with you to wrap things up. And after the video, we're going to be going into our time of invitation.
Doesn't matter what you've done. Doesn't matter where you're coming from. Doesn't matter where you've been. Hear me tell you I forgive. You're not guilty anymore. You're not filthy anymore. I love you, mercy is yours. You're not broken anymore. You're not captive anymore. I love you, mercy is yours. Can you believe that this is true? Grace abundant I am giving you, cleansing deeper than you know. All was paid for long ago. You're not guilty anymore. You're not filthy anymore. I love you, mercy is yours.
thank you for your promise that the yoke you have for us that is light and it's easy, and you call us to service to you, and we no longer have to worry about pleasing the world, keeping up with the world, measuring up to its standard. We need to worry about you. We need to give ourselves over to you. And you promise us rest. You promise us peace and joy when we surrender our baggage, when we let you handle it. You take care of it. So I pray that we'd stop doing things, trying to do things on our own. Stop feeling like we're all alone. That we would come to you, give our baggage to you. And not turn back. In your son's name I pray.